if you've got that little fire that you've been thinking about stepping out and trying something, go for it. Because there's a I think it's a TikTok floating around, and I think it's Mel Robbins. Isn't that Mel Robbins? It's like nobody's coming.
Yeah,
nobody's coming.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Nobody's going to come and tell you what you need to do. Nobody's going to come push you to go. In that example, it's, people are going to the gym, getting in shape, whatever. It's the same way for financial freedom. Nobody's going to come tell you to do this stuff.
Right.
Nobody's going to make you step out, take a chance. And let's face it, it's risky. And you know what? We get sold a bill of goods that we should be risk adverse. Like everything is advertised as, solving a problem and making our life easier. We were never put on this earth to just
go the easy route.
All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn. Until now. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today, it's just Dad and I. We couldn't get a guest on, and we're back kind of on our regular routine. We've been really busy with harvest, so we apologize for 2-week absence, but we're back on our bullshit, and we're here to stay. So if you guys get any value from the show, all we ask is for you to pay the fee. We don't run ads to promote the show. It's all organically up to you guys to share the show, just word of mouth. That's how we like to do it. So if you get value, we want value from you guys to just share the show. That's kind of the exchange. So hope you guys appreciate that. We appreciate it a lot. So I'm here with my sidekick, co-host, Dad, Torque and More, Torque Porker, everything.
Yep. Wow, you threw that in there now, huh?
Yeah. You're porking all the...
Pork and More.
Pork and More.
Pork and More is my old... Shout out to the old Pork and More crew. That was the old... the first company that I worked for doing construction was called Pork and More. And I would have worked there for free just for the stories, because that was a group of guys. So we should do a reunion tour on that. If you get value, we get value. Because I feel like... If nothing else, if it makes you think and it makes you question and you do a little digging on your own, that's great with me, because that's what we're about, is just trying to help people kind of think for themselves. Mm-hmm. Like Sawyer said, there's actually, so we're recording this and there's an episode out and we've done some guests. We've got a lot of stuff in the
works.
Torque's behind on his editing because there's stuff to be done, but we're going to get caught up and we're going to try to stay. We might actually be a little ahead, so that would be great. Harvest is probably winding down most areas of southeast Iowa. We got a little rain here today. We finished up beans. Our corn on corn's done. We've got about 120 acres of corn on bean ground to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if we can't just put that straight in the bin. It's probably going to be dry enough that we can probably just throw it in there and put some air on it, be my guess, because it's dried down rapidly. And the rain, when I say rain, it's just kind of a mist. We haven't gotten anything to speak of. However, harvest has progressed enough that it's kind of starting to drop the hammer on local basis, because the high that I could find... So this would be Thursday's close. We're on Friday, and corn and beans are both up. Beans are up about 10 cents right now, because I guess we were all worried about exports, and then the exports went way
bonkers.
up. Yeah, it went up. So now everybody's like, oh yeah, we're back in the good graces for another day till something else drives it down. But we were at about $5.25, I think, maybe what you could get for corn local, and yesterday's close, courtesy of Cat's Grain in Washington, Iowa, was $5.18, $5.28 at the river. But like I said, it's up about 2.5 cents right now, and you just have to see whether that tightens up things or not. Beans, $12.50 at Quincy, and they're up 10 cents right now. And I think $12.35 on this side of the river. I left wheat out. I'm done messing with wheat. Nobody cares about wheat. If you care about wheat, I'm sorry, but around here I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. Hogs 90, they're staying right in there. Cattle 125. Bitcoin 54.4. So it's had a big run. I don't know what the high was, but it got up over 55. And it's consolidating here. So it's staying.
I saw a tweet that said 80% of people 80% of the Bitcoin that's been bought has just been staying. That's in circulation. People are holding on to it.
Diamond hands.
Yep.
Yep. Well, everybody that has bought, I feel like there's getting to be fewer and fewer in and out people that are buying and then trying to guess the market, because I think the anticipation is it's going to go. And let's face it, we're sitting there. So depending on what side of the world politically you're on, you're either rooting for what ends up being about $4.5 trillion of debt for your grandchildren, or you're hoping that somehow 2 liberal senators stay strong and that nobody gets to their family and that they don't get all that through. But it doesn't matter. I mean, we've pumped I don't know how many $1 trillion worth of money we've printed, but it's a pile. So inflation's here. I heard the other day now then the official number is 8%, which they stonewalled that as long as they could. So if they're telling you that it's 8%, that means it's still way more than that. I'd say inflation's running about 15%. So that's why land's so high.
Real estate's so high.
Yep, it's all high because people want to get into hard assets. And we're going to talk about that today. But anyway, that's why I think Bitcoin is probably getting more momentum up, and why people that are buying it are holding it and not speculating on it. Ethereum's 3,600. It's kind of doing the same thing. Tesla's down a little bit, 781 last time I looked.
But they've came back massively.
Oh yeah, well they had their
earnings.
They had their earnings. Talked about it last week, and they're moving their headquarters to Texas. And for some reason, that's getting spun in the media as somehow negative. I can't believe they haven't moved their headquarters.
Is that recent? Because I saw a tweet from some politician in California said pretty much F Elon Musk.
Oh yeah,
and he said
they don't want him there.
He replied and said noted. Yep. And then there's a picture, and it's he moves his headquarters to Texas, and now that's just affecting California.
He threatened to move it. He threatened to move out of California completely during COVID when the county that the Fremont factory is in, they were throwing a hissy fit because they were trying to get it back up and running. And they granted him a waiver because it's the biggest employer in the county. And some people, you're putting all these workers to risk, even though the workers, I think it was optional whether they came back or not, and they overwhelmingly wanted to come back. But he threatened to move the headquarters out of there then. The factory's going to stay, and they're actually expanding it, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Write this down. I don't know, but check me in 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised if they build another big plant like they're doing in Austin and Berlin. And when they get that up, where
do you think they'll build it?
Southeast, Kentucky, Tennessee, somewhere like that, where they don't have to deal with the UAW.
What about Iowa?
I don't think they'll do it in Iowa because
power's cheap.
True, power is cheap. It's always a possibility. I think distribution-wise, they'll want to go somewhere east, just because you're going to ship a bunch of cars. You're not going to ship them west because you're going to have Texas. So anyway, I'm kind of off, but yeah. So it's floating around, but I think it's going to break 800. When it breaks 800, it's probably going to go for a while. I'm sporting Washington Demon colors today because it's homecoming. So if you're from any small town in America, homecoming is a big deal. Everybody gets behind it. It's not as big a deal as it was when your kid's playing. Then it's like an all-day deal, but it's still pretty neat.
Yep.
And at least we don't have to worry about being sued over our mascot because it's a demon. So it used to be we had to have a poll every 5 years because people thought the demon was inherently violent. But now that everybody's mascot's gotten sued and had to change them, I think all the school boards at least we're not going to have to worry about changing it. So we're just going to be quiet and not complain about it. So he's a good demon, though, I guess, if you can have, unless you're the opposition. So
it was always fun. Homecoming was fun. But
what are we going to do today?
So we're going to talk about. This is just something that's been weighing on my mind, and we've had a lot of discussions on disruption and what we see in the future. But Dad and I have done a lot of digging in the past few years when, this information's been so easily accessible to us that I have knowledge, Dad has knowledge that I think could do a lot of people good, that you're really not taught in school much. And it's how to create wealth at every level of a person that you are. So like if you're somebody that's an employee, if you're somebody that's a small business owner, or if you're somebody that absolutely just loves the game of building wealth and you want to just continue to do it, we're going to discuss every single level and kind of give you our take on it and kind of just give you our advice. But this is not financial advice. Take everything we say lightly, do your own research. We're just trying to give you kind of what we know, what we would do, kind of our plan, what we would do in your situation. So,
yeah, and I'll preface what we're going to talk about because you've got two people sitting at this table that are a lot different places in life. So what makes sense for Sawyer to do doesn't necessarily make sense for me to do. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a tolerance as far as
risk,
how much risk they want to take. And I will tell you that I am probably, well, I know, you all know I'm not normal, but I'm not normal for my age group because I probably have a higher risk tolerance today than I did. And
the reason because is you know more stuff than you probably did back then.
I do know more stuff, but I kind of come after it from a different point. Part of the reason that I'm willing to assume more risk is because I have less faith today in our financial system.
Well, and you have less time to compound. It doesn't make sense for you to put money in something that's only going to earn you 10% over 30 years.
Well, that's true too.
You need to go after stuff that it could explode.
Right.
But
I also, the other side of that is I feel a greater responsibility to be to be able to take care of myself because I just don't think that there's going to be, I think it's going to get a lot harder, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'm willing to shoulder more, I guess, risk for greater reward in the fact that if everything goes well, I may not need everything that I'm trying to accumulate. And if I don't, that's great. But I feel like there may be a chance that you could end up needing a lot of assets because you might not be able to keep them all.
Yeah. So the first thing that we want to get into really is foundational money rules. And this applies to everybody. These are foundational things that I think people need to know about money. The first one is you cannot trade time for money. You're going to run out of time. This whole idea that we're going to get the Social Security by, what is it? You get 65 when you retire is when you're supposed to get your Social Security.
If you want, or you can wait.
That ain't going to be around for me. I don't even know if it's going to be around for Dad. And then this whole idea that your retirement account is going to just make you live for the next till you pass away is also BS because let's say you have poor health and you got to go to a nursing home. You know how much money it costs to go to a nursing home? Was it $8,000 a month?
I know.
Yeah, my grandma, Dad's mom, is in a nursing home right now, and
$8,000 a month.
$8,000 a month.
So around here, if you're ever wondering why we don't have a lot of fancy equipment, part of the reason is because we're making a tractor payment.
We're paying for 3 generations.
We're paying for 3 generations. And the one generation is pretty expensive, which is fine. It's, I'm happy to do it. It's just when I look at it and I think about somebody that's saving in an IRA and they're going to retire and they think they're going to live off of that, they're going to be just fine till they have a health problem.
Yeah,
then you might as well just figure you're going Title 19.
Or your spouse, or both of you have it. Then it's even worse. It's the biggest pile of bullshit that's fed to you that you're going to be fine with just a retirement account and you're not going to touch that money till you're 65. Well, I just think that's BS. I would not just straight have a retirement account. So
yeah. And since we're talking about money rules, I don't think we wrote this down, but here's a good rule for you to have. Question everything. Question everything that somebody tells you. Because when you go to a financial, air quotes, financial professional, they're trying to sell you something. So they're trying to sell you something, and they don't really want to sell you an index fund. They want to sell you a mutual fund because they want to sell something that they get paid off of it. Is that the best use of your money? Well, I don't know. Some of them are managed very well, but most of them have a very hard time beating an index fund, which costs you nothing. And then the other thing, so if you take that, if you're willing to take a little bit of responsibility to keep track of what markets are doing, and you're going to use index funds or you're going to use mutual funds that have no load, you really got to ask yourself, why am I paying somebody for advice when it's like, is there a return on that?
Right.
So
most financial advisors take fees, and it's really not necessary because you could probably do it yourself if you're going to be passive with it, like index funds. Index funds are 100% passive. So you really don't need to pay somebody if you're investing in an index fund. And index funds outperform mutual funds like a lot of the time.
And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong if you don't want to mess with that. If you are somebody, which that's kind of our first person.
Well, yeah.
And I don't want to get ahead.
You are kind of speaking.
Well, I just want to say there's nothing wrong with it. If you're a person that you don't want that headache and you just like, it's too overwhelming, don't want to do it, that's fine. That's totally fine. But just take a little responsibility and do your research and make sure that what they're selling you, that there's a reason why it is. And also know that it's like anything in life. Anybody that is doing something's got to make money at it.
Well,
so
yeah,
there's
and my biggest thing, the advice I only get advice from people that I know that are building real businesses, that are making real money, that are doing real things. The sources that I've learned all this information from, I don't get it from people that I know aren't building real businesses. I'm not buying somebody's course. Because there's a lot of people out there that are selling you.
Yeah.
They are making their income from you buying their course, and that's how they're rich, and that's how they're flexing on you to say that I'm rich. But there's real entrepreneurs and business owners out there that have built real wealth, that run real companies, that put out information, and those are the people I listen to, and they drop knowledge that I've accumulated over 3 years after graduating high school.
That's important to know that any subject that you want to learn something about, don't pay somebody to teach you. Especially now. Because there are so many people that, you name it. I mean, if you want to build an accordion out of popsicle sticks, there's probably some place on the internet that you can.
Such a random freaking
Well, I'm
thing.
just saying, there's somebody that'll show you how to do it for free. And the same way, if you want to invest in stocks, if you want to invest in crypto, if you want to invest in real estate,
YouTube, books,
there's people
podcasts
that are doing it that expect nothing in return, and they're just showing you what they've done. Now, then you got to understand, you got to make the decision whether the way they're doing it is the way you should do it, whether it work in your area.
Well, and the thing is, you can skew information. That's how I've done it. I've listened to multiple people with multiple different perspectives, and I've skewed all the information I've learned from them, and I'm kind of skewing it and making it my own. You know what I mean? Like, some of the stuff I learned from somebody, I'm like, I don't like that. But I like this from them. And then I go to this person, I like that, but I don't like that. And you just kind of put it all together, and it molds who you are and kind of molds what path you want to take.
And let's talk about this. I don't know whether we want to jump in or we say this on the front side, but the other thing is, when you start, the best way to learn anything is by doing. And so when you say you've learned this over the last 3 years, well, you've learned, but you've also learned so much from
doing. You have to that's the biggest thing. You have to take the information and apply it. Because if you just take the information constantly all day long, reading, you're a learner, and then you don't go and apply it, your mind like critically puts 2 and 2 together when you do something, and if you learned and then do it, like your mind puts those 2 and 2 together, and then you might learn something from actually doing the thing that they didn't, throw in that teaching. So you literally have to apply the information. That goes for everything. That literally goes for everything. Because it's just going to be useless if all you're doing is sitting on your computer and learning, and then you're not applying it to anything. Because what's the point? What's the point? That's why I hated school. That's why I hated school. I was learning science. I was learning freaking algebra 2. I was learning all these subjects, and I was like, I'm not going to use this stuff. That was who I am. I know that was who I am. If you're somebody that uses that stuff, cool. For me, I hated school for that exact reason. I just wanted to know I loved sports, and I loved money, and I loved farming. Not money, I loved to make money and build wealth. Loved farming, loved sports, and those are kind of my three things. And everything else was like, eh. So, okay, the next foundational money rule I'd say is money is a tool. You cannot make more money without using the money that you got. There's just, you have to use the money that you got to go and create more money. It's just the nature of the game. Unless you get a promotion at that job, but that goes back to only trading your time for money, and you're going to run out of time, and you're not going to have enough money. So,
Yeah.
think about it. You use your money to invest in the stock market. Use your money to invest in funds. Use your money to invest in crypto. Use your money to invest in real estate. You use your money to invest in land. You use your money to invest in businesses.
Or you
all these
use
things.
Or you use your money to invest in crap.
Right.
So everything, so money, the amount of money you have, the amount of money I have, the amount of money Sawyer has is finite. In other words, whatever you have at that point in time, that's what you have. So then it is up to you to leverage that money. Money is neither good or bad. I think that's your next point, but it's how you leverage it. So you make the decision. Do I take this money and do I buy some Bitcoin? Is that going to give me a better return? Or do I take this money and do I buy an index fund? Or do I take this money and I buy a new set of Air Jordans? Are Air Jordans still a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or do I go buy?
Let's blow this at the mall.
Do I
Or
blow
go
it?
to the bars and blow
Because-
$200?
Right. So you might say that's not an investment. No, that's 100% investment. It's just a zero return, or the only return is the flex you feel from doing it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. There's so many people out there that spend money to impress people that don't give a shit about them. You just want to look the part. You want to look rich. You want to look wealthy. You want to show off to your friends, your family, and to just strangers, because for whatever reason, when most people that walk by you look and they go, yeah, and they really don't give a shit.
It's like when I drive through the parking lot at Walmart.
In your sexy ass Tahoe that's got rust out back bumper fender, everything that's rusty on that thing.
I know people are looking and like, man, that is sexy.
You cannot get more wealth without using money to make more money. It's a foundational thing. There's so many people that I think have that one thing messed up. When they get money, they just want to save it and hold on to it because they're like, this is money. Money's everything. This is what I've been taught. You got to keep money. It's the end all be all. But no, you got to put that money to work for you. You got to put that money to work for you so it can give you cash flow and make you more money.
Leverage. You've got to leverage it for more money.
Right.
Or more, whatever. I say money. Money isn't just
more
dollars.
Opportunities, more freedom, more experiences, all the things that you want. But you got to use money to get more money to do those things or strive for whatever you want. Third foundational money rule is, like you said, money is nor good nor evil. So I think that money kind of exploits who you are as a person already. It just like shows it bigger. So like if I'm a good person already and I get more money and I become wealthy and I'm already giving back to my friends and family, I'm already tithing to my church, I'm already donating to charities, you're just going to do that stuff even more. You're going to help in a bigger way. But if you're a piece of shit, you're going to stay a piece of shit and you're going to be a bigger piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're going to just be arrogant. You're going to be a douche. You're going to probably, you're going to be a douchebag. I mean, essentially, you're not going to do any good and you're just going to not be. That's why I think a lot of people, that when they think about money and somebody that's rich, they think about the person that is arrogant, that is a piece of crap, that,
money has the same effect as, say, drugs or alcohol. So, people say that somebody's a mean drunk. The alcohol brings out, and people that say things that they otherwise normally wouldn't say, but they're thinking when they're affected by that. That's why the majority of people that win lotteries end up broke. Because if you're living on $35,000 a year and you can't manage your money and you win $3.5 million, guess what? you won't be able to manage it any better. In fact, it'll just take you to a new low because it'll magnify how poorly. And then the other thing, our society is so, they demonize wealth. So
100%.
So many CEOs and so many people that, for whatever reason, become wealthy, or who are, they've inherited, they're from a family. There's a lot of resentment, and sometimes so, because you're a real, you're a prick.
You are the piece of shit kind of family.
But there's also a lot of people that do tremendous good, but they're still perceived, there's still a stigma about them that, oh, well, they don't know real problems because they've been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And money is just a polarizing thing, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's neither good nor evil. It's what you choose to do with it.
Yeah, who you are as a person is what that money's going to show the most, pretty much. Like, and the other thing is, if you want to do really good things in the world, you need money. You want to save the Amazon rainforest? You need money. You want to try to stop global warming? You need money. You want to help the hungry? You need money. You need freaking money if you want to do a lot of good things in this world. So money is not all evil. Money's not evil. Not everybody that makes money and is wealthy is evil. That's a huge misconception. Okay, so we're going to kind of break this down into like 3 different types of people. And before we get into this, I just want to say, if you're listening to this and you're one of these people that we describe, everybody's aspirations and dreams and what they want out of life is different. And neither one of these is good or bad. This is just depending on you, and everybody's different, and that's okay.
Well, it's so many things play into that. It's your age, it's your risk tolerance, it's what contents you, because some people, their free time contents them, their free time brings them content, their hobbies bring them content.
Joy, all that stuff, happiness.
And so
people are just wired different.
Everybody's wired different.
Everyone's wired different. So I just want to throw that out there before we get started. Like, if you're one of these people in one of these categories, don't feel like we're trying to like bag on you or anything. Because I genuinely think everybody can make wealth at every single level if you just put effort in. And there's some people that will make more wealth because they want to put more effort in because they're more driven and they want that kind of stuff. And then there's, somebody that's just the average Joe out there that just
may not want that.
And that's totally okay. So we're going to start at like somebody that's a very low risk tolerance person. They don't want to take on a bunch of risks. They don't want to take on a ton of responsibility. This would probably be somebody that's kind of an employee, loves their job. They work the 9-to-5 job. They're happy. They're happy with their family. They just love what they do. This is somebody that's just like content and just doesn't want to take on a ton of stuff. So the first thing I would say is probably save/invest your money. So like you need to first save probably an emergency fund.
Yes. You need to save, you need to have 3 months.
3 to 6 months.
And just know, if you don't have an emergency fund and you start, probably the second week you start is when your car's going to die or your water heater's going to go out.
Dad's talking an experience here.
Well, I just have, when Trish and I, when we started down that road, it's amazing how quickly, you can call it whatever, Murphy's Law or whatever, but how quickly that you try to save up a nest egg that for something to go wrong, something will go wrong.
Something goes wrong. Yeah. So first step would be save an emergency fund. Yeah. Save 3 to 6 months of your, income, your expenses what you spend every month.
And the biggest reason for that is because if you can't withstand small things that go wrong in your life, from things breaking, this bill or that bill, if you can't withstand that, if you don't have any buffer for that, it makes it really, really hard to plan anything. So the goal of having that fund is to have a cushion that you can plan. You can plan to what to do with that extra money once you've got a comfortable buffer build up to withstand the things that go wrong whenever.
Yep. The other thing is, I'll say about saving, I hate saving money. Whatever. I personally hate saving money because I don't feel like I'm getting a return on my money. But I do understand, and I think it is very pivotal to have an emergency fund because like Dad said, it is necessary. It is
And
a
it's-
pivotal thing.
And it's good. It'll teach you, because you know what? The second thing that happens when you weather the water heater and then you actually get some money saved up, then, and this is where it's very important within a family, within you. I mean, if you're single, I feel like it's a little easier. If you're married, if you've got a partner, you got to be on the same page, because when you get that nest egg build up and you've got 2.5 months worth of money sitting there, oh man, then it's like, we could go on vacation.
Yeah, discipline.
Boy, I'd really like to have a new couch. And that's when those conversations start. And it's
Just don't do it.
Yep.
Keep it.
And that's what makes it hard about having that. The hard part of saving money is having that sitting there that it makes it so much easier, that little voice in your head that's like, well, we'll put it back.
For me, it's like,
No, you
I
won't.
want to invest it. Like,
Right.
That's
So it's good training. It's good training
Yep.
for your
discipline,
Discipline.
financial discipline.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say that at every level. So if you're somebody that wants to strive for the world, you're somebody in between, or if you're somebody that's, wants low risk, have a freaking emergency fund. Have an emergency fund at all levels. Second thing I would say is, if you are somebody that's low risk, I would pay off your debt. Pay off shit that is a liability to you. Your car, it's not making you money. Pay it off. Your house, try to pay that thing off. I think the average person in America moves every 3 years, but if you're happy with the house that you're sitting at right now and you think you're going to live there a very long time, I'd probably refinance right now, because the interest rates are so low. And if you think you're going to stay there, I'd stay there. But yeah, pay off your debt, pay off your house, pay off your student loans. Big one. My girlfriend, Kat, she's trying to pay them things off like as fast as she can.
Every bill you pay off is that many more dollars a month that you've got
Right.
to go either
Put
to
it
your
work for you.
Right. It goes back to that leverage, because right now that bill is leveraged against your future wealth.
Right.
And when you turn that over and you pay that off, if you've got a bill that's $100 a month, that's taking $100 a month out of what you could leverage against the future.
Right.
Once that's paid off, you have another $100 that you can send out in the world to leverage to make you a future return.
Yep.
That's how you got to look at it.
Yeah, those are emergency fund, pay off your debt, and then let's get into the kind of investing. For somebody that really wants low risk, very low risk, you don't want to really do a side hustle because it's going to take too much time, and you're happy with where you are in your job. You just want to make passive income, truly passive income. I would definitely recommend an index fund. Index funds and like the S&P 500, the total stock market index fund. There's a bond one. There's a total world index fund. But the two main ones that you'll make a lot of return on your money is total stock market and S&P 500. And go into that, because I'm going to show you guys a calculator that's really, really mind-blowing to show somebody if you just put money in every month and show you the number of kind of what it will accumulate over time.
So one thing that we wanted to kind of make clear, and this is all rolls into, this, as we said, this isn't financial advice, but all of these metrics as far as, the S&P over the last 25 years has done this, the S&P has done this. Well, we're kind of in uncharted territory, because yes, the S&P is performed very well. It has performed better over the period of time, I don't know what it is, than it ever has. But part of that is, I feel like part of that is artificial. And you need to go into this with an open mind that, every in stock investment company says, future performance is no guarantee, or past performance is no guarantee of future returns, or something like that. And that's so true. So, today, investing in an index fund versus investing in a mutual fund, the index funds usually do
They do better.
They do better. But and that probably will be true even going forward. But your overall return, we could be heading at any time, really, at any time, and it's been this way throughout history. When you take your money and you put it into the stock market, you are at the mercy of what the market could do. So, you could start investing next month and the market could go down for 2 years.
Yeah, but the thing you got to say here is like the S&P 500 has been timeless. Over a 30-year period, it gives you a 10 to 12% return. And if you look at a chart for the last 60 years, there has been obviously recessions and it's came back. It's came back. The only thing that I'll say that we're at a risk here is because we're potentially maybe change the currency that we're using right now. There's going to be a disruption in currency,
Right.
which that has not happened like forever, a long time. So that's where I'd say maybe put a little bit of money in crypto. And luckily, there will be probably a crypto ETF that comes out in the future. So I would add that to your ETF portfolio as well. Index fund. ETFs, index funds are pretty much the same thing. So when I say ETF, I mean index fund.
Do your own research.
Do your own research.
If you don't know
too.
what that is, look.
Look up an index fund, look up an ETF. It'll show you. So I got this calculator here, and it pretty much just shows you what your return would look like if you put this much money into the S&P 500 at this age and what age you plan to retire. So I'm just going to give you an example of my situation here. So let's say I'm 21 years old. I plan to retire at 75. I really don't plan on retiring ever because I'm a farmer and whatever, but let's just say 75 because I think a lot of people are going to live longer. I think 65's not. I think people are just going to live longer because we eat healthier.
I
and go
hope
to the
so.
gym. Yeah, I hope so for sure. But let's say how much money you currently have in investments. Let's just say for shits and gigs, we'll just say zero, just to show you guys the power of this thing. And then let's say, how much do you want to contribute monthly? I'm going to say $1,000. Let's just say $1,000. I do my expenses, but I got $1,000 left over. I got my emergency fund already saved up, but I got $1,000 left over, and I'm not going to spend it on dumb shit. And then let's say we'll go in the middle here. S&P 500 does 10 to 12% return on your money over a 30-year period. Let's just go in the middle here and say 11. Let's just say it'll do an 11% return on my money. If I calculate that, in 54 years, I'll have $40 million sitting in that account.
Okay, let's do the same thing now, because this is a point we wanted to make.
But here, that just goes to show you do not have to go buy real estate, start a company, start multiple companies to be wealthy. If you put in the effort, save your money, be disciplined, you can truly change your and you're not going to get that. The thing with a Roth IRA or an IRA is you can only contribute so much. A Roth IRA, you can only contribute $6,000 in there a year. So you can have one in your Roth, an index funds in your Roth, and you can have index funds outside of your Roth. So you might have to put a little bit in your Roth if you have a retirement account, and then you can put some outside your Roth and other index funds. But
Okay,
anyway,
just to show people though, so I'm 50 years old.
Yeah.
So let's say I have no money saved.
Yep.
And I'm going to put $2,000 a month.
Right. Yeah.
Because I woke up and I'm like, holy shit, I'm old and I don't have any money
You're going to
saved.
retire at 75?
And I'm going to retire at 75.
Let's just say a 12% return.
So a little better return.
Right. Only $3 million.
Yeah, and that's still...
I mean, that's pretty good, but that's good. No, let's be real. That's pretty
but
good.
that's what'd I say, $1,500 or $2,000?
$2,000.
Yeah, that's not everybody. That's a lot of discipline.
Right.
And that's assuming that I don't have medical bills, my insurance, my health insurance doesn't go out of.
Right.
But it's what? That's less than 10% of what you would have.
Right. And then
so time is on your side.
I always like doing this just because it's cool. Let's say you put $4,500. I know that's a crazy number, whatever. But let's just say if you could contribute $4,500, let's say you have a massive promotion at your company, your spouse has a good promotion, you both have really good paying jobs, but you still don't want that risk, but you can contribute $4,500 to your index funds, the S&P every month. And you get a 12% return and let's just say you're 30. If you put $4,500 in at age 30 and you plan to retire at 75 and you get a 12% return on your money, $96 million.
Yeah.
$96 million, folks.
But make it, we don't need to, but I think you need to give the example for somebody starting out that is 21 years old and they got $100 a month.
Let's just say 18. Let's just say 18 for now. 18, you got zero money, you put in $100. You're 18 years old right now and you want to plan to retire at 75. You got zero money in your investments right now. And you get a 12% return. We'll do 12. Well, let's just do 11, just in that middle there. So here are the numbers: $100, 18, plan to retire at 75, 11 years, 11% return on your money, $5 million.
Yeah,
for $100.
And
you could turn $100 into $5 million. And obviously, as you level up in life and get older and get a higher paying job, you're going to be able to contribute more. But every dollar counts. Every dollar counts. I'm very lucky that I had a dad that got me started contributing to a retirement account when I was, I don't know what, we went in there when I was like 17 years old. And granted, we didn't know everything. Dad didn't know everything, but it got me on the right path to figuring this stuff kind of out. And now we went through a financial advisor, but I kind of went my own way now, and I'm doing it myself because I've done the research and things like that, and I just like doing it that way. But just compounding. When you're young, if you're a young person out there, every dollar counts. Every dollar counts. Yep. It really does. Like you saw right there, $100 can turn into $5 million. So it's
if you're
crazy.
willing to be disciplined.
If you're willing to be disciplined.
Yep.
The next kind of person we want to talk about, or kind of explain is like if you're a small business owner, you're a salesman, you're a freelancer, you're somebody with a little bit more time and a little bit more freedom, like a salesman. You worked as a salesman. As long as you're selling and you're performing well and you are putting in the hours necessary, you can kind of choose and pick your own hours, really, depending on the job. But for
long as you're selling,
right? As long as you're selling, it works.
I could take any day I wanted as long as I was selling. But if I wasn't, somebody was like, "Well, you ain't got time to be doing nothing. You better get out."
Right.
It's not what you did for me yesterday. It's what are you going to do for me tomorrow?
Exactly. There you go. So you're somebody like that. You are somebody that wants to take on a little bit more. You could maybe potentially do a side hustle. You have a little bit more of a medium risk tolerance. You're willing to risk it to get the biscuit a little bit, but not put your whole head out the donkey's ass or something. I don't know.
That was a
terrible,
bizarre. That was bizarre.
That was about as bizarre as you saying make an accordion out of popsicle sticks.
Hey, I bet you, I'm gonna Google that when we're done. See if anybody's doing it.
The first thing that I will say is if you're somebody that is a small business owner, you got a good paying job, and you want to do a side hustle, best side hustle, best investment you can possibly make is in real estate.
Yeah,
real estate is king. It creates, I think. It's insurance and real estate create the most millionaires nationwide. They're huge industries. Everybody that you listen to that's wealthy or you see that's wealthy, some form or way they own real estate because it is truly a really great way to build long-term wealth. And there's very many different ways to invest in real estate. You can flip houses, do wholesaling. You can invest in multifamily, Airbnb, single-family home, et cetera, et cetera. My advice personally, well, I'll get into that in the next one, but go ahead.
So what I want to say on that is that part of this goes hand in hand with your age because as you get older, the older you are and you make the decision that you've got to start, that you've got to do something other than what you have done so far, you have to make the decision based on leverage as far as investing in more, I should say, you have to decide whether you're going to try to invest in lower return assets or higher return assets. And the older you get, you have to look for ways to get a higher return because time isn't on your side. And, I'm 50, so to me, real estate is a better return, a better leverage of the money that I have versus investing in the stock market. I have some stocks, but the return that you can get from real estate is much better than off of, say, an index fund. Just know that when you go down that path, I think part of the reason that people don't get into real estate is because it's harder in the fact that there's more variables in it, and just know that if you get into real estate, you're going to make mistakes because there's many different situations, and it's also kind of a people business in the fact that you have renters, if you do Airbnb, you have to deal with cities wherever you live. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen, and Sawyer can speak to this because he and his brother. So my experience with real estate is farmland and hog confinements. And I would say, some people would look at that and say that, well, farmland seems to be pretty safe investment. And I will agree it is. The cost to entry is very, very high, but it's a very safe investment. Hog building, some people would argue that is a more risky a risky investment. However, for me, compared to, I always tell my boys that if I have my choice between renting to hogs or renting to people, I'll take hogs all the time because it's a guaranteed rate. And when I'm tired of them and they start breaking stuff, it's time to send them out and get new ones. Where if you have renters, who knows what you got. But Sawyer can speak to their experience. They have learned so much.
Yeah.
And if you get into real estate, the one thing that you need to understand is it is a learning curve. And the more you do it, the better it gets. So talk about that.
So there's, like I said, there's a lot of ways you can do it. And depending on what way you go down, what type of, real estate you're going to invest in, what type you're going to do, it's less there's more ways that are more work and there's other ways that are less work. So it kind of depends on who you are. But personally, Clay and I, that's my brother Clay, we invested in when I was 18 and he was 23. He was 23, and that was when we bought our first. We bought a commercial building with an apartment upstairs, and that was our kind of first taste. And we learned a lot on that first deal, and then we saved up more money and we got another deal, a small little house, and we learned a lot from that because we had a squatter. And we had the tenant that was living there when we bought it, totally trashed the place and flooded the basement, and it was just an absolute mess. And then, we just kept going and going and going and going and going. So it is just a really great, and there's so many ways to just keep going, because you can leverage equity that you have in your buildings or your real estate to go and purchase more real estate, which is something that's such a cheat code. I feel like you can't do that in other industries. You can leverage real estate as collateral to go buy more real estate, to make more cash flow, to give you more money. And every deal we've bought makes us money every month. And we're still paying the mortgages on these properties, but we pick the deals that we know, okay, if we buy at this and we got this much in taxes, insurance, and we're getting this much from the tenants, from rent, we know we're going to cash flow this month. And the typical number Clay and I like to reach for right now, since we're, still starting out, we've been doing it for 3 years, but we're still kind of, getting there. We try to aim for $500 to $1,000. If you're making $500 to $1,000 after everything's paid for, your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, all that, it's a pretty good piece of real estate. Obviously, the higher ticket the real estate, the better return on your investment you're going to get. But since we're starting out small, we're going to get there eventually. But I absolutely love it. Clay, I wouldn't even be able to do it without my brother Clay. He is the front man of it. He is all in real estate. He takes pictures. He was a real estate agent. He takes videography and photography for real estate, and that's his business. And then he does the investing in real estate on the side as well as I am with him. So we partnered together, and it just wouldn't run without Clay. So shout out to you, Clay, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without you. So, I think if you're somebody that wants a side hustle and you want to still make passive income, but you want to put in a little bit of work, real estate's a really good way. It's not like a business where it's not like a, brick and mortar business. It's not like a online business where you got to fulfill orders and get the customer and do all that extra upfront work. Real estate, you get a building, you get a unit, you find good tenants, you make sure it cash flows, you take care of the tenants, and you just keep doing that every month, pay the mortgages down, and just keep going on the offense and purchasing more and more and more and more and more.
Improve your properties. Yeah. I mean,
because
that equity is powerful.
Equity is so powerful. Clay and I, really, we've been building equity for about 2 to 3 years, and just this year, we've really been able to leverage the equity that we've been building in our properties to go out and purchase more properties, which is huge. It accelerates your curve by 1 million. And I know there's a lot of people out there that, man, that's kind of a lot of debt. But you probably listen to Dave Ramsey, and I'm not knocking on Dave Ramsey at all. I just use his damn calculator to do the index fund, S&P 500 calculator. But there is a difference between good debt and bad debt. If Clay and I weren't able to go into debt, we wouldn't be moving as fast as we are in real estate and cash flowing as much money as we're cash flowing now every month. So obviously, if you have a car that's not making you any money, that's a liability. And yes, I would pay that off a house. If you're living in that house, you're not renting it out to anybody, that's a liability. I would pay that off. But if you are getting cash flow every single month and you can pay the mortgage and you can pay the taxes and insurance and you can have some money left over, that is a form of good debt.
And let me touch on that. The other thing that's important, and it's very easy to get caught up in this, because this is one of those industries where how many online courses, how many courses are for sale on real estate?
Yeah, there are a pile. There are a ton of gurus, quote unquote,
yes,
that will show you the way.
Yes.
Take my hand.
And run away from that, because if they're doing that, it's because they couldn't make money doing what they're doing, or they're one of those people that they just want to flex on everybody else. There's enough people that are doing it that expect nothing and are willing to tell you what they've done for free.
There's a few good guys out there that you can learn real estate from, but to be completely honest with you, 100% transparent, my brother and I have learned more from doing than anything else. Like, I've listened to Bigger Pockets podcast. That's a good source to get some good real estate information. But other than that, it's really just been going with our gut, learning from our mistakes, keep pursuing, keep finding information from genuine people that are talking about it, and read books and just
do it. What I wanted to say was, though, on that, you do have to be smart. And what I was going to say when I said it's easy right now, people getting caught up. So there is a supply problem with real estate in this country, and the real estate prices reflect that. And so in some of your larger markets, the values on these properties are insane, and you have to do your homework, because at some point real estate is going to back off. And I think that's where, and I think Dave Ramsey will tell you that, I think that's where he learned valuable lesson, is he lost a pile of money. I don't remember the whole story. I think he lost his tail on real estate.
I think I know the story. So what he did was he did leverage too much equity. He was going really, 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 really fast. Like, he was buying properties, using the equity, refinancing, purchasing more properties. And then when the recession hit,
he had vacancies
and what do you call that? When you got a note on a property, it starts with a P, you got like a 3-year note, and then you got it's a balloon. Yeah, a balloon, not a P, a B. Yeah. But he had balloons on all his properties, and
they adjusted.
And in the recession came, the bank needed their money, and they pretty much came to him and said, "We need all this money by this date.
Yep.
And if you don't pay, you're going to lose your properties."
And his property values had gone down.
And here's the thing with that. There's a lot of people that were in that boat during the recession, but a lot of guys lost their ass, but there was a lot of guys that refinanced with other banks. They went elsewhere because, and with our situation, you might be thinking, well, you guys are kind of in that same boat, which I understand where you're coming from, but we're also investing in real estate in a small town. And the bank, we have a really good relationship with the bank that we bank with. And I think if a recession did hit, they wouldn't want to do us dirty, because we do a lot of business with them. And they know if they were to do that, they would squander the relationship. And, it's just bad publicity. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's it's not like if we were banking with a U.S. bank, then I'd be a little bit more concerned.
Because you're just a number.
You're just a number. But we're at a local bank, so.
But the other thing is, the properties you've purchased them worth the money. In other words, our prices locally are not as extreme as what a lot of places are. Right. So when the market does adjust, you're not probably going to get the swing the other way that some bigger markets are going to show. So all I'm saying is, you need to be smart about, don't get caught up in the I gotta have it. So that's probably one of the most important things to keep in mind when you are wanting to get into real estate.
You got to find the right deal.
You have to be patient.
Yeah.
And there's going to be so many times that there's going to be a property that you think, oh, that's the property. I need that property. Mm-hmm. And then you start rationalizing why you can pay more for it
Right.
And that's where you get into trouble.
Just got to make sure it cash flows.
It's
got to make sure it cash flows.
It's no different than your rainy day fund. It takes so much discipline. And that's why it's not right for everybody, because you have to have that discipline to say, this is what I know I can rent it for.
Yep.
This is what I know my expenses are going to be. I can't pay more than
Yeah, and
this.
that comes with more experience, because we didn't figure that out till later. Like, we didn't know how much we think we could charge a tenant for rent. You know, we didn't know exactly when we went into a deal, how much do we think you just learn that stuff.
Yeah,
over
what it's
time.
going to cost for this and that.
And I will say another thing, like, if you're somebody that's like, man, that sounds like a lot of risk, we're going fast. My brother and I are going fast. We are using the equity. But if you're somebody that's just like, you know, you want to own 3, 4, 5 properties, but you want to go nice and slow. You want to pay them down so you don't have any debt. You want to go that way. It's also a really good way. You're still going to cash flow money, and then once you pay it off, you'll earn even more money.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be slower. You're going to be more. It's just going to take longer to get more properties to get more cash flow to make it a really good side hustle.
So there's a lot of people involved in real estate that use this. They use this pattern where what they do is they spend the first half of their life, I guess you say, accumulating properties. And then when they get to a certain age where they want to retire, then they slowly start selling those properties. So basically, they use real estate like a retirement fund in that they accumulate properties, and then the properties, the value, they increase in value, and they increase their equity as they pay them off. And then when they get to a point, that's their retirement. So as they age, they just sell a property as they need money. And there's a lot of people that have done that. So you can, and that's what people, I know that's what you guys love so much about it, is that there's so many ways that you can do it.
Not one way is the best way to do it. It's such a multi-diverse industry that you can really make money in a lot of different ways doing it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to throw in there, money, we said money's a tool. Equity is a huge tool too, because you can use money and equity to buy more assets. You can leverage it. So it's pretty cool that way. I want you to talk a little bit, because you're way better at taxes than I do. This is an area I need to get way better at. But talk about kind of the positives of investing in real estate as far as appreciation goes. Like, you know, for
refi
real estate, just like. Yeah. How it's better, it's a good tax deduction. It's good for, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah. So one of the advantages of real estate is that you can sell a property and buy another property, and basically you're exchanging that money.
1080 exchange, or what is it?
1080.
1090. What is it?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what it's called.
1092.
Maybe, I don't know. But where you can sell a property and then buy another property, and as long as you turn that money over within a certain amount of time, you don't have to pay capital gains on that
tax
on that money. And then the other thing is you can exchange. So people do this with farmland too, is if somebody has a building that you want and you have a property that, say, they want, you can trade property. And you know, the values, you have to play the game as to what the values are, but you can move money around. And then the other thing is you can go into a property and you can do a cash out refinance, where if you need money for something and you have the equity in there, you can take that money out and use it if you need it, which you can't do with an IRA without paying a penalty. But with a real estate situation, you're just paying whatever the interest is. And in a lot of times, you know, that real estate will probably appreciate over the same period of time more than what it's costing you in interest. So there's a lot of advantages to it. And you know what? The other thing is, and this is what I always told people when I was selling hog buildings, is 15 years on, you know, if you buy a property and you've got it on a 15-year mortgage, when we were doing hog buildings, when I started, most of the hog buildings were on 10 years, and then they went to 12, and today they're on 15 because they've gotten expensive. And that seems like a really long time. And I'll tell you, I could say this with 100% certainty because I turned 50 this year. Lifetime's not very long, and 10 years or 15 years goes pretty fast. And you'll be amazed. how quickly that you'll pay that piece of real estate off. And the other thing that's good about it is, unlike the discipline it takes to put $400 a month into your IRA, for a lot of people, it's much easier to have that mortgage, because the mortgage, it's not nearly as simple to just say, I'm not going to pay it this month. Mm-hmm. You have to pay it. Once you sign that loan contract, you have to pay it. Well, what you're really doing is you're contributing to your retirement, or you're contributing to a index fund, because down the road, that property is going to get paid for, and you're going to sit back and you're like, boy, that went a lot faster than what I thought. And
you're going to get monthly checks from it.
Yeah. And so there's advantages in the fact that once you commit to property, it's easier to be disciplined in investing in it, because you have to, versus I'm going to put money in an index fund or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
did that cover it?
Yeah, that was good. I think we went pretty in depth on there. It's a huge part of my life. It's a huge part of Dad's life too, because hog barns real estate, farmland's real estate. You own a building in town.
Yeah,
etc.
And let's talk about that. I didn't even think about that. But you know what? If you're somebody that you own a business, but you're renting space, why not rent from yourself? I mean, so my wife had a store years ago. Shout out to the Mercantile on Marion. I think it's mercantileonmarion.com. Is that what it is? Oh, she's going to kill me if I don't get that website right.
We'll put it in the description.
We'll put it in the description.
She does decorations. So if you have a wife, you have a girlfriend, or if you're a woman listening,
yeah,
click the link in the description to buy some really good decor for your home.
Yeah.
Mom's got an eye for that
She
stuff.
does. She can even make me look decent sometimes, which is impressive.
It is.
But anyway, she had a store years ago, and she rented that space. And then when our kids got to the age, that they were in everything, she didn't want to do it anymore, and she closed that up. She sold off what she had, and she was fine with it. But that bug was always in her. And when she made the decision that she wanted to open a store again, we looked around, and you know what? It just made sense to buy a building versus rent a building. And what we did is we bought a building and we rent the apartment upstairs. And so over half of the mortgage payment is already paid from the rental. And then she has the store downstairs and she pays the rest of it. And that rent, if she was renting a space, every month that rent would be a liability. Mm-hmm. But because we own the building, she's paying that mortgage on that building. And you know what? Here's the great thing about it. I used equity in my hog buildings to buy that building.
Great thing with using equity is you don't have to put a down payment down.
Right. Unless you want to.
But if you are like, I don't have enough money to do a down payment, and you're like, I got a bunch in equity though, so I could just leverage the equity to go buy this building without having to put a down payment, you can do that.
And so, I mean, that's just to use an example. But so for so many people, it's like you said, there's so many ways that you can use real estate. And I feel like a lot of people are intimidated because they don't understand it.
Well, then they also they get the whole thing that's risky. It's risky. It's not risky if you just make sure you're going to cash flow money. Make sure that you're going to be good. Like, it's just common sense. Like, you knew if you bought that building, you just needed to rent out the apartment, and mom has to make a certain amount of money, and it's good.
Yeah.
Like, right? And she does perfectly good.
And there's what ifs. You can play the what ifs all day long. When I built my hog buildings, there was no guarantee that the hog business was going to stay viable as long as it is. If you build a hog building today, you could sit and be worried, what if ASF comes? Well, if ASF comes, we're all in trouble in the hog business, and I don't know what'll happen, but somehow people got to eat, and I think it's going to, I think somehow you make it through. What if the real estate? So you can do nothing. In any of these examples we're talking about, and one of the things I talk about all the time is you have to bet on yourself. And the safest thing to do might look to be doing nothing, but nothing won't get you anywhere down the road.
I mean, nothing's going to change. If
right.
You hate your circumstance, you don't like where you're at, you want to make more money, you want to change, you want to have your experience for your kids, you want to do stuff, you need money.
And you have to move.
You have to move. Doing nothing, investing in nothing, not buying an asset that's going to make you money. You're going to stay where you're at. And if you're happy with where you're at, that's fine. But like,
if you're
son
not,
of a bitch, if you're not, you have more opportunity to change your circumstance than ever before.
And you will make mistakes.
Yep, 100%.
But if you learn from those mistakes, that's worth a lot.
You have got to risk it to get the biscuit, people. You do. It's facts. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to keep moving. And,
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we really went in depth on that, but there's one other thing I want to throw in there. So, I'm going to also say, if you're that, that middle tier person, you're a salesman, small business owner, freelancer, best side hustle is real estate. I think it's a great investment. Everyone should invest in real estate if you have a little bit of risk tolerance at whatever scale you want to go with that. Second thing, index funds. I think index funds, again, like I talked about, I showed you that calculator, you can get an insane return in index funds if they, obviously it doesn't crash and the dollar doesn't go away or whatever. But if it keeps going the way it's going, you can get a really good return on your money. And the awesome thing with index funds that can help you buy more real estate is you can put money in index funds. And let's just throw out there, you got $5 million, or let's say you got $10 million in your index funds, right?
Oh, don't even do that. Let's say you got $100,000. Okay.
It's going to make it easier for me. You got $10 million in your index funds. You've been putting money in there for a long time. And you want to go buy real estate. You're like, man, I want to go buy more real estate, but I don't have enough cash on hand to go purchase this property. You can leverage 50% of the amount that you have in your index funds to use as collateral to then go buy this piece of real estate at a 1.5% interest rate. You can do that. That's something that's a thing that is so low key that not many people really know about.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can do that. You
can't do that with your IRA.
No, you can't do that. You can maybe do that with how much you contribute.
You can borrow. Well, I don't know if I think whatever the principal that you put into an IRA or a Roth, I think you can borrow that out of there.
You can use it as collateral.
You probably can leverage that.
Anyway, I know for sure you can do that with index funds. So if you're somebody with $10 million, you can leverage $5 million of that index fund amount to then go buy a property with that collateral. Yeah,
equity.
You.
Yeah.
Equity.
Well,
collateral.
or if you
which is a really good tool. So like, just think about this. If you're somebody that wants to do real estate and you are invested in index funds, you could just keep this circle going. You keep contributing your index funds, keep leveraging index funds, buying properties, then taking equity, taking profit, cash flowing properties. Then you can take the equity from those properties and buy more property. And that's out without using any money. Like that's without using any money. You can use index funds. You can use the equity you build up in your properties without using any money. And then obviously you still have a job or a business or you're selling. You can use that money to also buy real estate. Like you're going to have money. You're still going to make money. So it's just crazy. Real estate is really, really, really a pivotal thing in my life. I'm going to continue to invest in real estate till I frickin' die, probably, because I love it.
When are you going to buy me another farm?
Yeah, I'm trying to get there too, folks. Trust me, that's like my biggest why right now. And then so the other thing is we're going to throw in here in investing when you're on this middle tier here is I put a little money in crypto because like Dad said,
it's a hedge.
It's a hedge against what's going on right now, inflation, the dollar, this whole idea that where you're thinking about maybe dipping into another currency, like that's not happened before, like in a long time. So yes, index funds have been timeless. They have been a timeless thing. S&P 500 has been timeless, but we're moving in an age, a time where
uncertainty.
It's a lot of uncertainty. So I would try to be diversified as much as you can. So like real estate would be great. Index funds would be really great. Crypto would be great, and have some money on hand to say in your savings as well in that emergency fund. But if you're spread out really spread out there, if one goes away, you're good. You got places to go. So that's the other thing. So you got anything to add on that middle tier there?
I would just say that don't put all your eggs in one. I mean, I say that. pretty much all my eggs were in one basket. I mean, I was 100. Everything I have today, you can trace back to building ag hog buildings. 100%. Hog buildings were the best investment I ever made. They paid themselves off. I've got the equity, and I have a valuable. I mean, you know, the market for used hog building is basically almost what it cost. I mean, it's pretty much 100%, if not more than what it cost you to build it. So, I mean, it was a great investment. Real estate was a great investment. And the thing is, when I did that, I really didn't even realize I was investing in real estate. I just came from the side that I knew that a hog building would pay its way. So that's what I did. And now I look back and I was like, man, I should have never stopped. But as far as crypto goes, I don't know what order these episodes are all going to come out in. We kind of did a deep dive on Bitcoin, and so we'll put a link to that one, or that one will have a link to this one, or whatever. Yeah. But you know, if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, it's like everything we talk about. Do your own research. But I think of Bitcoin kind of as digital gold, and if you're somebody that wants to own gold, that's own gold. But I don't feel like gold. I feel like the time of gold is getting. I don't feel it's going to be as strong. Well, I don't feel it's going to be as strong because it's not as movable, marketable. It takes a lot of power to move it around and all that. And I think Bitcoin is a better store of value going forward.
My suggestion, this is what I'm doing personally: Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin, Ethereum are the two that Dad and I are high on. So,
and I get friends of mine, people that I know that message me. I just had somebody message me the other day and ask me if I knew anything about XLR, about Litecoin. And no, it's XLR. I can't remember. But all these coins, there's all these coins. A lot of people call them shit coins because you just don't know what they're going to be. And I stay away from that stuff because I just don't have enough knowledge to do it. And so I'm pretty sure Bitcoin's going to be a winner, and I'm pretty sure that Ethereum is going to kind of be the rails that a lot of the crypto is going to run on. So I stick with that.
All right. So moving on to the last kind of tier of person. And this is kind of the category that I would say I fall into. And
because you and your brother are nuts.
Yeah. This is where you get called crazy. This is a high risk person that wants to play the game forever. This is somebody that loves the game of entrepreneurship, loves the game of investing, just loves the game of business. Like, that's who I am. I have no knock towards anyone else. That's just how I am wired. That's literally how I'm wired. I like it. Here's how I'll explain it. I feel at peace with myself. I feel good about myself. I feel more happy when I'm moving. When I say moving, I mean when I'm progressing, or even if I'm failing but I'm learning from something. I feel the best when I'm learning and building and improving and trying new things, and just, you know, that's who I am. That's how I'm built, and that's what I found in my young 20, being 21. That's just what I found. And the reason I've kind of figured that out is there's a lot of people that I've listened to that kind of helped me realize that, because for a long time I was like, man, like why am I always trying to like think about the future? Or like, why am I always trying to like do this? I felt like I was fucking crazy.
You want to know my theory?
What?
So Clay and Sawyer are a lot different in ways. They're kind of at different ends of the spectrum on some things. But one thing that they have in common is this like drive to build, and like get all the pieces. And I think it has to do with growing up playing video games and games like Minecraft, because
Halo.
Clay was the kid that he had to get every achievement. Like he loved it. He loved it when he could get every achievement, and he wanted to be able to scroll through his profile, his gamer profile, and see that all of the achievements were unlocked. And Sawyer, he was all about like building games that you had to build, like Fallout.
Loved Fallout.
Love Fallout.
Well, and even like Halo, like competitive match games, I wanted to be to be the max level you could be.
Yeah.
Like I wanted that.
And I don't know, but I feel like that is just.
Well, and it's like, I don't know, when I grew up, when I was a little kid, like 4 years old, I developed this love for football. I don't talk about this very much, but when I was a kid, I would do nothing but just watch football and play football and obsess about football, kind of like I obsess about investing in business and everything that I do now. But football was that for me when I was a kid, and I want to be an NFL football player. And I was bound determined. I didn't give a shit what anyone told me. I said, I'm going to be an NFL football player because I wanted to be one so bad. But obviously, did that pan out? I had to get realistic with myself. I wasn't a bad player, but I wasn't D1 good, and I wasn't going to go to the NFL. So like, but that I've always had that desire to just go for the bet, like go for that max thing. Cause I don't know why. I just have. So to anybody, I don't know if I'm relating to anybody. I hope I'm relating to people out there, because I, for a long time, did kind of feel like I was crazy, but my brother and I that's how we can relate to each other a little bit. Cause we can talk to each other on that level. Like, he doesn't look at me like, dude, you're nuts. Like, dude, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Like, he throws stuff right back at me, and we can just pinball off each other. And you're a lot like that too. Like,
I feel as though my age has tempered that a little bit.
Yep.
And that you two kind of drag me along somehow. Like, there's some things that we've gotten into that I know, and they're fine, they're good, but I feel like I probably wouldn't have come up with that on my own.
Yeah.
But with you two, it's like, oh yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah. So let's just get into that a little bit. So we talked about real estate, and if you're somebody that loves the game of entrepreneurship, love investing, you want to create massive generational wealth. Like, you want wealth. And what I'll say to this, I had a comment on the last time we talked about this. Someone said, well, why do you want to be wealthy? Why do you want to be wealthy? Because, what do you get to experience that other people don't? What makes that being so great? And what I'll say to that is...
Did they say it like that?
They kind of did say it like that, I think. Like, it was kind of a snotty...
His voice came through.
It was a kind of a snotty throw at me, like, why? And what I'll say is just kind of like, I want to experience things. I want to be able to buy my dad a freaking car or a truck.
A swivel koozie.
I want my mom to be happy. I want to be able to do things for my brother. I want to do good in my community. I want to, like we talked about, I want to give back to my local church. I want to give back to these things that I believe in. And I want to build purpose and businesses that bring me fulfillment. And I want to take my grandkids or my kids and go to frickin' Disney World, go on a cruise ship, go do things that you cannot experience if you don't have money.
Well,
and I want to be able to buy things that I want to buy. I'm not really a materialistic person. That does not get me going at all. But if I wanted to buy a Model S tomorrow, I'd like to be able to buy a Model S because I think it's an awesome ass car.
Yep.
But I mean, that doesn't get me going. It's not my driver.
So, and I feel like this is my why.
Oh,
go ahead.
The other thing is legacy purposes. Yeah. I want to represent my last name. I want to make my ancestors proud. I want to make my dad proud. I want to make my grandpa proud. I want to make my mom proud. I want to make my grandma proud. I want to wear my last name and wear it the best that anyone's wore the last name Whistler. Like, that's what I'm striving for. That's what I'm striving for. I'm trying to be the best that there ever has been in our family and trying to just do really good by our family and wear it and represent it well and leave a lasting legacy and produce generational wealth for my kids and future generations. That's a big driver for me. That's everything we go for here. That's why we're farmers. Like, that's it right there.
Yeah, and I'll touch on that. That is one of the hardest goals for somebody to have is to create a family business or create wealth within a family and then be able to keep it, to be able to deliver it intact to another generation. And we're going to do an episode. So one of my influences, and it's gotten more so the older that I've gotten, is it'd be my great great grandfather, a guy named Samuel Meek, who is the guy that actually settled the ground that we live on. And we'll talk about it. He has a very interesting past. But that guy, he built generational wealth. He was a very old man when he came to Washington, Iowa. And he didn't live very long after he got here, but he brought all of the wealth that he had created from all the way from Virginia through as the frontier moved west all the way to Washington, Iowa, and he deposited it here. And I don't know how many descendants. So we're one line of that Meek family, one son of six. I want to say 6 or 7. I've got the picture hanging in our hallway, and I can't remember. But there's more. I mean, I don't have any idea how many descendants of that man there are. But he literally.
We're talking about him right now, so that just
Right.
shows you.
So my goal as I get older is I often think whether or not what I'm doing today, whether a descendant of mine that did not know me, like I'm praying that my grandkids know who their grandpa is, but my great-great-grandkids probably won't. But it would be pretty cool in my mind if my great-great-grandkids speculate as to what I was like. Although, thanks to hard drives, they probably will.
Well, and YouTube
which will spoil it because I won't be quite as much of a giant figure as what Sam Meek is, because they'll
We don't know
go,
what we
gosh,
don't
he's kind of funny looking. He's kind of got a big head too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that kind of drives me because I don't care that much about my stuff. What I care more about is building a mechanism and trying to keep it intact and being able to do business with family. And it's hard to keep a business with family. But if you can do it, it's worth so much, and it's such a great relationship. We're so, I feel blessed, blessed beyond measure that I can work with my wife and my 2 sons, and in some small part, we all do stuff separately, but then we have stuff together, and that's not easy. And it's just not, because you treat your family the worst. And we're kind of getting off. But anyway, legacy is huge to me, and I think it is to Sawyer and his brother.
I should have just started with that. Legacy is everything for me. Clay and I building our real estate business, we talk about that as well. Like, everything that we're doing is to build multiple pillars so that our kids have ways. If they're not a farm kid, they have a different avenue they can go down. If they are a farm kid, they can farm. I'm trying to do all these things so that it gives my kids and my grandkids opportunities to do things. And everyone's like, well, you're going to be handing everything with a silver spoon. No, I'm not. I'll make their ass load pigs at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm going to instill all the grid values you possibly can, because that's what you'll have to do. But
and that's the other thing I was going to say on that, is to have the in today's society, because I have many acquaintances that raised kids the same time I did, and they will tell you the opportunities to teach a new generation the value of hard work and the value of doing a job that they may not want to do, but it has to get done.
It's getting less and less. And
where do you send them? Right. Where do you send them? You can't, and they want to make it to where, they can't work till they're 14 anyway. And I am so thankful that I wasn't when I was doing it. I'm sure Sawyer wasn't either. But we loaded 3 loads of hogs this morning, and you know what? We could hire it done. If we really wanted to, we could hire it done. But we don't. We don't today. The only reason that we will end up hiring it done is because we're going to get to the point where we have so much stuff that we have to do.
Well, it just frees up time so we can spend time on stuff that's more valuable.
That when your time is the most valuable thing you have, loading pigs is probably not, but man, I love loading them because when I get done, that is the purest return on sweat equity there is, because when you're done, you feel like you've really accomplished something, because it takes something. It's a heck of a lot harder to do that than it is to sit in my office and write checks to pay,
Right.
all the bills. So anyway, to have the ability to have another generation that is going to have the opportunity to learn the value of hard work and learn the value of doing something that you may not want to do, to, as Jocko would say, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
To do those jobs that you don't want to do, but it's got to be done.
Yeah, we kind of went down like a deep
Sorry.
tangent there, but yeah, those are kind of my why. And the other, like everything I said, that's a big why to me. But like the other thing, the just obvious thing is I love the game. Like I'm just not going to stop because I just like it. It's like, I like doing it. Like TV's great. I don't have hobbies. I don't go hunting. I don't go fishing. I don't do those things because I like this. I'd rather work on a side hustle to produce me more income so I can grow what I'm trying to grow rather than go hunting, go fishing. So that just kind of puts you into my perspective of how I am. And if you're somebody that can relate to that, hello, you're not alone, because sometimes you do really feel alone sometimes. Okay, so this is kind of like my layout of that. If you're somebody that wants to attain insane wealth, the first thing you gotta understand that I've learned is so many wealthy people, millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, have multiple streams of income. Like they have multiple streams of income. They have multiple businesses. They have real estate. They have personal investing in many different ways. They have boring businesses they own, car washes, stuff that doesn't take very much time. They own these things because it produces them income, and they continue to just build and build and build and build. So I would say first thing, real estate. I talked about it earlier. Real estate, makes the most millionaires, just like insurance. But my personal preference, Clay and I's personal preference right now, is multifamily and Airbnb. Single family is great, but you got a lot of houses and you got to manage all of them. And when you get up to scale where you got like 150 houses, let's say, that's a lot to manage, and it's all in different places. With a apartment complex, a townhouse, a condos, it's all in one kind of place.
Easier to manage.
Way easier to manage. It's consolidated. So that's nice. And then Airbnb, what we found is like you can have a single family home that you transition to make a really good experience, and you have you're really good with people, and you can make way more money doing Airbnb if it's a good Airbnb at a single family home than you can if you just put a long-term tenant in that single family home. So I'm willing to spend time on single family home if I know it can go into Airbnb, because you can double/triple your money you can make every month and cash flow money every month.
But it does take more management.
It does take more management.
And you have to be somebody that you are good with people.
Right.
If you are not someone that is good with people, or you do not like having to interact with people, Airbnb, unless you find some...
Yeah, unless you get a manager.
Right.
I mean, you can get a management. You can build systems, and that's the whole thing. Everything you got to do, if you're going to go down this path of wealth, you have to build systems. You have to not be afraid of hiring people. You can't be afraid of figuring out ways to make it easier, more manageable, all that things.
You have to learn.
You have to learn.
Keep learning.
And you got to be, risk it. We're going to be high risk. This is the category of people that are high risk that want to play the game a long time. And then the next thing is index funds. I'm a big believer in index funds. So like, I'll just paint you my picture. Like, let's just say I made $500,000 in a year, right? That's insane. That's a good amount of money. Okay. This is how I would live it. Most people would live it differently. I would live off $250,000 with my wife and my kids, because at that point, if you're raising 4 kids, that's probably how much you're going to have to spend to keep the lights on and keep everybody happy. And then I would try to invest the rest of the $250,000. And what I would do is I would put $50K in index funds, $50K in individual stocks, $50K in crypto, and I would save $100,000, because that's how I am. I like to be diverse, and that's a great thing. When you have a lot of money, you can put it in a lot of different buckets to grow for you, and it can diversify you, and it can move, and it can go faster. The more money you got, the faster you can go. That's the other thing, people. It's just like that tool. You got money, you can go way faster. You can go places faster. You can meet people you didn't think you could ever meet. And they also, why I said saving is like, well, why are you saving money really if you don't, because the importance of saving money is like, one, emergencies, but two, what I've learned is when people that you associate yourself with that do business deals, that are in real estate or, just need cash, and they know you have cash. You're somebody that they can go to and they're like, I know Sawyer's got cash on hand and I don't have enough money to fund this deal. Obviously, this needs to be somebody that you trust, that you've done business with before. You don't just do this to a random. But if they know you have money, they come to you with a deal and say, I'm going to flip this house. I need you to put the down payment on, but I'll give you half of the return that we make on the flip. You good with that? Yeah, I'm good with that. You give them that, they do all the work, and you get $100,000, $300,000. That's the great thing with having money on, having savings and having people knowing you have money on hand. The other thing is multiple businesses. There's a lot of people that I know that, there's a lot of people I listen to that they have not just one business, they have multiple businesses, unless you're freaking Jeff Bezos with Amazon. I mean, not all those businesses got to be a home run. Like I said, there's a lot of boring business owners out there. They own car washes. They own a P.O. box company where you have mailboxes there and you charge rent to the people that rent out the mailboxes. That's just passive income.
Storage units,
power washing business, epoxy business, all these things. Like you can own a little bit of percentage in this business, have somebody manage it, and you get checks monthly, annually, whatever. And then they obviously probably have like a business that they spend a lot of their time on. Like obviously their passion. Like all these things that I'm talking about, real estate, I want it to be passive. All those personal investings, that's passive. The multiple boring businesses, you can probably own about 20, 30% of that business, give the 70% to the person that's managing that business for you, and then you still get a kickback. And then more than likely you have the business that you're most dedicated and passionate about. And that's where you spend most of your time. It's just like a job. You got your job, like we said, and then you invest in real estate and that's your side hustle. This is just like 10Xing that essentially. Like this is my plan really. And yeah, that's kind of like a little look into what I'm trying to do and what I'm kind of about. I'm all about building pillars of wealth. I want to have a real estate business, farming business, social media business, personal investing, and I want boring businesses. And I just want it all to go, and I want to build them and grow them and grow them and grow them, and then take a little bit from each one for my personal use and invest half of it and live off the other half. I hope you got some value from this, guys. I mean, I just kind of really wanted to shine light on that, that you can have these kind of mindsets, and it doesn't really matter who you are and what category or tier you fall under. You can build wealth. It just takes effort, and you can build wealth, but depending on what tier you go down, you can build significantly more wealth depending on what you want to do. But like I said before we started this thing, doesn't matter who you are. Everyone's ambitions are different. Everyone's different. Everyone's wired different. And that's okay. That's okay. That's how life should be. You know what? I'll tell you something. Some days when I'm doing all this crap and I'm stressed out of my freaking mind, I wish that I was wired like in a way where I could kick my feet up in my recliner, relax, and like just chill, and I'd be happy. But the problem is, what goes through my mind? I'm guilty. If I'm sitting and not doing anything, I get bad and feel bad about myself. And I'm not in a good headspace. So that's why it just doesn't work for me. But kudos to the people that do, because sometimes I envy that. I really do. I really do. So like I said, it's forever. It's not any one of these tiers is great, but I just wanted to show you kind of a little bit of some of the secrets we have and know, or, the knowledge we have, and just to give you the, knowledge that it doesn't matter where you're at, you can build wealth in some kind of way.
If you've got that little fire that you've been thinking about stepping out and trying something, go for it. Because there's a I think it's a TikTok floating around, and I think it's Mel Robbins. Isn't that Mel Robbins? It's like nobody's coming.
Yeah, nobody's
coming.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Nobody's going to come and tell you what you need to do. Nobody's going to come push you to go. In that example, it's, people are going to the gym, getting in shape, whatever. It's the same way for financial freedom. Nobody's going to come tell you to do this stuff.
Right.
Nobody's going to make you step out, take a chance. And let's face it, it's risky. And you know what? We get sold a bill of goods that we should be risk adverse. Like everything is advertised as, solving a problem and making our life easier. We were never put on this earth to just
Go the easy route.
to go the easier route. It's in it. It's ever no matter.
In here, it's just like what you said with the pig loading. We do not like to load hogs sometimes,
No.
and it's a grind sometimes. But it's every time we get done loading the pigs, it's a relief, but it's a feeling of accomplishment because it sucked.
Although
It's hard.
slugging a rotor, I think
Yeah,
is worse
right.
than loading pigs.
Right. Right. I mean, facts.
But all that goes with it. So the reward for doing that is financial freedom.
And yeah, right. And I go back to kind of what my why or whatever. But you know what's going to feel really good? All the stuff that I'm doing is not easy, or trying to accomplish is not easy. Building wealth is not easy. But when you look out on what you've built over the time you've lived on this planet, and you look out and it was hard, and you did the trials and tribulations, and you got it to where you wanted it to be, and you feel good. Looking out and seeing that progress, there's going to be no better feeling in the world. Like,
Yeah, and
it's just like when we do that short 2-hour loading pig session.
Yep.
Feels great when we're done, but just think like that, and then just take it over your lifespan of what you're trying to accomplish. And it's hard, but it's going to feel really good when you do the thing that you set out to do.
Yeah, and you know what? We're bringing you along for the ride, because at the end of the day, This'll Do Farm and Barn Talk and all the stuff we're doing, it's all kind of in its infancy. Mm-hmm. It really is. And something that's neat, or I'd say it's neat for all of you that have supported us and watch it, and we really appreciate it, and we appreciate the support that we've gotten. But something that's neat for you is you're going to be able to see what happens, and you're going to be able to get the value out of it. And you know what? The mistakes that we made, and we will make more mistakes, that is great, because you're going to be able to look at that, because we pretty much got it all out there. You all pretty much know what we're doing. And
we're not bullshitters.
If you learn, you may learn something from our mistakes, which you don't have. If you don't have to endure the mistakes that we make, then that's a victory for us too. But if we are successful in what we do, it's going to be awesome to look back from our humble beginnings to what we do.
Yeah, we're in the process right now, 100%. 100%, we're in the process,
and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, yep, 100%. And the great thing with this is, like what Dad says, you'll be able to see it, because if you follow our TDF channel, you'll be able to see the growth of the farm. But what's really cool about the Barn Talk is you'll probably see the progress of this barn that you see these camera angles on change. Like we're gonna try to make this barn really cool. So when we have guests up here, it's an experience. It's an experience. It's a podcast that you've never thought, like, it's something that you've never seen before. We want that to be, and so you're going to see that whole thing too. But we're just trying our best to give the most value to you guys right now. And I know this we kind of went really deep into this one, but just a lot of people don't have this relationship with money. They don't understand these principles and things that can help them, and they don't understand that they can build wealth no matter what level they're at. So I just hope you got something from this. You got something, you learned that you can build wealth no matter where you are at in life and what ambition you have. So
shout us out, send us to your friends, share it, let people know if you got value out of it. And we appreciate the support. We appreciate what you do for us.
None of this would be possible without you guys.
Right. It wouldn't. And just think for yourself. If nothing else, just sit and think for yourself and
go research
and go do your own research.
That's what we did. What we did.
And there'll be another one next week. We got no gaps for a while. We got plenty of content. We're getting caught up. We got some great guests coming. We've actually got some great guests we've already had on that Torque's just got to get his crap done. So anyway, there'll be one out this Friday, be one out next Friday, and hopefully every Friday coming on. So stay tuned, and we'll see you back here.